It is finally college football game week at the University of Louisville. Eric Crawford from WDRB and Louisville coach Scott Satterfield is holding his weekly pregame news conferences on Tuesdays this year instead of Mondays. So we finally got to hear from him on Saturday's opener at Syracuse. And because that opener is on the road, because it's a conference game, Satterfield said that this year's preseason practice might have been a little more physical than he would otherwise have done it. I'm going to give you a quick recap of all we heard from Scott Satterfield today, but let's start with that.
Yeah, I think when you start camp, we wanted this to be a physical camp, so we started out, really physical. The first probably 2.5 weeks, you're really getting after it, and I think we needed to be that way. And then once you start, about the last, 8 days, you start backing off a little bit as far as being physical, and then it becomes a lot more mental. We still, like today, we're going to practice fast today. We're going to practice fast tomorrow. We have to get after it. We're all wearing these, GPS systems now where we're tracking guys. How fast are they running? How much are they running? So we got to hit certain levels within that today and tomorrow. And over 90% of their top speed. I mean, we have to be able to play fast, and so we'll do that. We're still going to hit today and tomorrow. I mean, that's what we do on Tuesday and Wednesdays. We don't tackle. We don't bring guys to the ground, but we're going to thud up. We're going to continue to be physical. I think that's a mentality. I think you have to train that way if you want to play that way on Saturdays.
One thing I wanted to ask Scott Satterfield about was his wide receiver core. I noticed in the weight room earlier this year when I was in here doing some interviews that on the screens they had a clip from the ACC network, and on it had the Louisville wide receiver group as among the weakest in the league, and it was a cross your fingers rating it gave the wide receivers here. This is a proud wide receiver tradition at Louisville. I wondered what his impressions of his wideouts were coming out of preseason practice.
There's a lot of new faces out there when you think about it. I think we have some really quality players at the wide receiver position. Maybe not as deep as you'd like to be, but some great quality players. We have to stay healthy out there. But then I also think there's a couple of newcomers that are really doing some great things. They just need a little bit of time. I think by the middle of the season they'll be in the mix. When you think about Chris Bell, Chance Morrow, those guys I think are going to have bright futures for us. How quickly they start grasping it will be determined how much they play. But they're certainly talented players. But yeah, I mean, T. Huddy, we've talked a lot about him, Wiggins, Braden, Ford. We're going to be very, very solid out there at wide receiver position.
Well, one thing we heard a lot of in the offseason, especially before Louisville recruiting picked up, was that this could be a make or break year for Scott Satterfield. Russ Brown asked him a question in Tuesday's press conference about that very thing, how he felt like seeing his name on the coach's hot seat list a little bit, and how he approaches that.
It's got kind of a big picture type question, 2 parts. Do you consider this a really critical year for both you and the program? And what's your reaction when you see your name on a hot seat list, which has been kind of prevalent this offseason?
Yeah. Well, I mean, to me, I think every year is a crucial year. I mean, it doesn't matter. You got to go win in this business. There's nobody wants to be average. Nobody wants to be below average. I mean, you have to go win football games, and we all know that. We feel like we're headed in the right direction and have been heading in the right direction since we've been here. We've had a lot of tough things thrown our way over the last 3 years, but we've weathered the storm. We continue to fight, continue to battle, and I approach every year that way. Nothing changes for me and our staff and how we approach it. It's been a great off season, so we'll go out there and hopefully put a great product on the field and go win some games.
Well, there's a lot more from Scott Satterfield and offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator. We've got a lot of coverage at WDRB.com. If you want the full story, go there. I'm Eric Crawford for WDRB Sports.